The recording discovered on the abandoned camcorder told only part of the story. What happened to the Thompson family on that cold October night would become one of America's most disturbing unsolved mysteries, one that continues to haunt the small town of Ravens Hollow to this day. My name is Dr. Eleanor Wright. For 20 years, I've investigated the unexplained disappearances that plague our nation's remote locations. None have consumed me quite like this one. The facts, as officially documented, are sparse. On October 17, 2020, the Thompson family, Jack, 42, Sarah, 39, and their teenage children, Emma, 16, and Ethan, 14, arrived at their newly purchased vacation cabin in the dense woodlands of Ravens Hollow, Michigan. 4 days later, local sheriff's deputies discovered the property abandoned. Breakfast half-eaten on the table, car keys on the counter, the family SUV still parked outside. The only clue: a camcorder containing 34 minutes of footage, its final moments sending shockwaves through the law enforcement community. What follows is the culmination of my investigation: interviews with locals, analysis of the recovered footage, and examination of evidence that official reports mysteriously omitted. This is the true story of what happened in those woods. Jack Thompson had built a respectable life in Chicago as an investment banker. His wife Sarah taught high school English. By all accounts, they were the quintessential American success story: hard-working parents who had finally saved enough to purchase their dream getaway home. Jack talked about that cabin constantly. His colleague Marcus Reynolds told me during our interview at his Chicago office. He'd been eyeing property up in Michigan for years, said it would be the perfect place to disconnect and reconnect with his family. The property itself had a history, though the real estate listing conveniently omitted this detail. Built in the 1930s, the 3-bedroom log cabin had changed hands 12 times in the past 40 years, an unusually high turnover rate that locals had long whispered about. "Nobody stays there long," said Elaine Wilkins, who has operated the general store in Ravens Hollow for over 4 decades. "That stretch of woods ain't right. The natives wouldn't even hunt there. Called it the hollow ground, place where the boundary between worlds wears thin." When I pressed Elaine about these claims, her weathered face darkened. "Those woods have always been hungry." The camcorder footage begins innocuously enough. Sarah Thompson films their arrival, the camera panning across the rustic cabin exterior. Jack and Ethan unload luggage from their black SUV, while Emma explores the wraparound porch. Their voices carry clearly in the crisp autumn air. "Look at this place," Sarah exclaims from behind the camera. "Worth every penny." "Dad, there's no cell service," Emma complains, holding her phone up. Jack's laughter echoes. "That's the whole point, sweetheart." 4 days of actual face-to-face communication. The family's first day passes with the ordinary activities of settling in, unpacking groceries, choosing bedrooms, exploring the property's walking trails. The footage jumps to evening, showing the family playing board games by the fireplace. Nothing indicates the slightest awareness of what awaited them. Day 2 brings the first anomaly. Sarah films breakfast preparations in the kitchen, when the camera suddenly captures Ethan standing motionless at the window, staring into the dense tree line. "Ethan?" Sarah calls from behind the camera. "What are you looking at, honey?" When he doesn't respond, she approaches, focusing on his face. The boy's expression is blank, pupils dilated despite the morning light flooding the room. "Ethan?" Sarah repeats, her voice tinged with concern. The boy blinks rapidly, turning to his mother as if awakening. "Sorry, what? What were you looking at out there?" Ethan glances back toward the window, confused. "Nothing. I thought I saw something moving." The camera turns toward the window, capturing only the gentle sway of pine trees in the morning breeze. Hours later, Emma experiences a similar episode while collecting kindling near the property's edge. The footage shows her suddenly freezing, head tilted as though listening. Sarah, again filming, approaches her daughter. "What is it?" Emma doesn't respond for several seconds before whispering, "Do you hear that? It sounds like someone calling my name." Sarah pans the camera in a slow circle, capturing nothing but trees and underbrush. "I don't hear anything, Em." "It stopped," Emma says, her voice hollow. "But it knew my name, Mom." By the third day, the anomalies intensify. The camera captures a family breakfast interrupted by a thunderous crash from upstairs, like someone dropped a piano. Jack says on the recording, the entire family investigates, but they find nothing displaced or damaged. Later that afternoon, Sarah films Jack splitting firewood. The camera suddenly jerks toward the tree line when he stops mid-swing, staring into the forest. "Jack?" Sarah calls. Without acknowledging her, Jack sets down the axe and begins walking toward the woods. The camera follows as Sarah pursues him, her breathing increasingly labored. "Jack, where are you going?" There's an edge of panic in her voice now. He stops abruptly at the tree line, standing motionless for nearly 30 seconds before turning back toward her. His face registers confusion. "What am I doing out here?" he asks, genuinely perplexed. That night's footage reveals the true escalation. Filmed in night vision mode, the camera shows Sarah investigating strange scratching sounds outside their bedroom window. The green-tinted footage captures her pulling back the curtain to reveal deep, parallel grooves being actively carved into the glass from the outside. Despite their second-floor location 20 feet above ground level, Sarah's scream wakes the household. The camera, apparently dropped on the bed, captures ceiling and partial wall as panicked voices overlap. "Jack, what is it? What happened?" "Sarah, something was at the window scratching." "Emma, Dad, there's someone outside my room too." "Ethan, they're all around the house." The camera is retrieved, and Jack's face appears in frame, his features ghostly in the night vision's glow. "We're getting out of here now." The following 3 minutes show the family's frantic attempt to leave, gathering keys, phones, wallets. But when Jack tries the front door, it won't budge. Neither will the back door or any window. "It's like they're sealed shut," he says, voice breaking as he throws his full weight against the front door again. And then comes the whispering. It begins as an indistinct murmur, just at the threshold of audibility, but grows steadily louder until distinct words emerge, not from any specific direction, but seemingly from the very walls themselves. "Join us in the hollow." The words repeat, growing louder, becoming a chorus of overlapping voices, men, women, children, all chanting the same invitation. The footage shows the family huddling in the living room, Jack attempting to calm everyone despite the terror evident in his own eyes. "It's just the wind," he says unconvincingly. "Or maybe some local kids playing a prank." At 3 in the morning, Sarah counters. The temperature within the cabin plummets, their breath suddenly visible in the night vision recording. The whispering abruptly ceases, replaced by an unnatural silence. For 45 excruciating seconds, nothing happens. Then, the lights flicker on, despite the family having never touched the switches. The night vision disengages, showing the room now blazing with electrical light. Emma points toward the hallway leading to the bedrooms. "Look." The camera pans to reveal a trail of muddy footprints appearing on the wooden floor, one by one as though created by invisible feet. The prints lead toward the basement door, which slowly creaks open of its own accord. A deep, resonant humming emanates from below. The footage jumps, whether from editing or camera malfunction remains unclear. When it resumes, Jack is descending the basement stairs, camera in hand, calling behind him, "Stay upstairs, I'll check it out." "Jack, don't," Sarah pleads from off camera. But he continues downward, the camera's light illuminating rough-hewn stone walls and an earthen floor. The basement appears empty except for an old water heater and some discarded furniture. The humming grows louder as Jack pans across the space. Then the camera finds a section of wall where the stones have been removed, revealing a narrow tunnel. "What the hell?" Jack whispers. The tunnel couldn't exist as it appears to extend beyond the property boundaries, burrowing deep into the earth beneath the surrounding forest. A child's laughter echoes from within the opening. "Hello?" Jack calls, his voice unsteady. "Is someone down there?" The camera moves closer to the tunnel entrance. From its dark depths comes a whispered response. "We've been waiting for you, Jack." The final 90 seconds of footage defies conventional explanation. The camera drops, landing at an angle that captures both the tunnel entrance and part of the basement floor. For several seconds, nothing happens. Then, Jack's legs appear in frame as he's dragged feet first toward the tunnel by some unseen force. His hands claw desperately at the dirt floor, leaving deep furrows. His screams echo through the basement until they're abruptly cut short as he disappears into the darkness. Footsteps thunder down the stairs, Sarah calling Jack's name. Then her horrified scream as she presumably witnesses what has happened. The camera captures her feet as she approaches. Then she too is violently pulled toward the tunnel, disappearing in seconds. The children's screams follow from upstairs, growing closer as they apparently rush toward the basement, then abruptly silenced. For 43 seconds, the frame remains empty, just the tunnel entrance and silent basement. Then, one by one, the Thompson family's shoes appear at the edge of the frame. 4 pairs of feet, standing motionless, except they're standing wrong, twisted at impossible angles, barely touching the ground, as though the family is suspended by invisible wires. A 5th pair of feet enters the frame, bare, gray-skinned, unnaturally elongated. They move with a strange, fluid grace toward the camera. The footage ends. When deputies arrived at the property on October 21, they found nothing amiss except for the abandoned camcorder. There was no tunnel in the basement, just solid stone walls. No footprints in the hallway, no signs of struggle or forced entry. The official report lists the Thompson family as missing persons. The case remains open but inactive due to lack of leads. What the report doesn't mention, and what Sheriff Deputy Miles Cranston revealed to me in confidence, was that during the initial search, 4 officers reported hearing whispers coming from the surrounding woods. They all heard the same thing, Cranston told me, his hands trembling slightly as he lit a cigarette during our interview. "Join us in the hollow." He paused, exhaling a cloud of smoke. 2 of those officers quit the force within a month. Another committed suicide last year. Perhaps most disturbing of all is what happened 3 months after the Thompsons vanished. A highway maintenance worker discovered their abandoned SUV in a rest area nearly 200 miles from the cabin. Inside were the family's wallets, phones, and luggage, exactly as they'd packed them. On the windshield, scratched into the glass from the inside, was a crude map showing the location of the cabin in Ravens Hollow and an inscription: "The doorway is open. We are coming through." The cabin burned to the ground in what investigators ruled an electrical fire 6 months later. The property remains vacant, a charred foundation slowly being reclaimed by the surrounding forest. To this day, hikers occasionally report hearing whispers in those woods, voices calling their names, inviting them deeper among the trees. Local authorities have prohibited camping within a 5-mile radius of where the cabin once stood. The Thompson family has never been found. As for the camcorder footage, the original has vanished from the evidence room of the Ravens Hollow Sheriff's Department. The copy I've described here, the only known surviving version, was provided by a source who wishes to remain anonymous. I've studied hundreds of disappearances across America's remote regions. Most have rational explanations: exposure, animal attacks, accidents in treacherous terrain. But what happened at Ravens Hollow defies conventional understanding. Whatever called to the Thompson family from those woods, whatever lured them through that impossible tunnel, it remains there still, waiting for new visitors to hear its whispers. This is Dr. Eleanor Wright, concluding my investigation into the vanishing at Ravens Hollow. I'm returning to the site tomorrow for one final assessment. I'll be sure to keep my camera rolling. For more terrifying true stories from America's darkest corners, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. If you've experienced something unexplainable, share it in the comments below. See you in the next video.